Okay.
Okay, we're live. All right, before commercials. Okay, welcome everyone to our webinar this evening from the National Center for Women in Information and Technology. Did I say that right? And we're going to get started in about 2 minutes as people are arriving to our webinar. Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started? I'd like to introduce our speakers for this evening. They're Nikki Sayer, who's an elementary school counselor from near Philadelphia, and Dr. Maureen Stewart, who's a program director and assistant professor from Vermont State University. They're going to speak to us this evening. Okay, we have this disclaimer. They're going to speak to us this evening on future-ready pathways, and the learning outcomes are here. And I'm just going to let them take it away from here. So let me stop sharing and welcome Maureen and Nikki.
Thank you.
Just as you know, we're streaming and recording this video. The slides will be available tomorrow, as well as a link to the recording.
Thank you so much, Robert. So we are so excited to be here and happy to present to all of you, National Center for Women in Information Technology and Counselors for Computing, C4C. I know Nikki's getting set up here with getting ready to share her screen. And so I'm Maureen Stewart, located here in Vermont, and I work with Vermont State University graduate program and all things school counseling, 26 years in both Colorado and in Vermont. Nikki, maybe just anything else that you'd like to share about where you're located and your role.
And I'm Nikki Sayer. I'm an elementary school counselor and I work in Pennsylvania, live in New Jersey. We have a tri-state area there. I spent 19 years in the middle school, which is an adventure in itself. And I just transitioned to the elementary school last year. So it's a little different, but smaller problems. But I've been in the same school district and I'm happy to do that. And I've been a C4C consultant for about 6 years or so now.
Yeah, great.
So we are going to get started. Maureen's going to kick us off.
Yep. Okay, so this is Future Ready Pathways, and we know that this is important for for counselors, for school counselors, for all who work with students. So I'm going to go ahead and drop in the chat a sign-in sheet. This is an opportunity just so we can see who you are, who's attending today. If you have access to the chat, or you can share the link later if you're watching this webinar later on, make sure you complete that link that's available in the chat. So I am want to start us off, and Nikki, I'm wondering if you would like me to sort of share the screen of the slides, just so we can look at some of the slides
Oh, yeah,
together
sure.
as a group. Okay, let's see. All right, so here we go. Are you seeing just the beginning where it says future ready pathways, right? Okay,
Mhm.
got it. All right, here we go. So we want to start off and have you think for a moment, for those of you who are here with us now, or if you're watching this webinar later on, we want you to think about this prompt here. What does computing mean to you? Number one, first of all, what is one way that you believe computing can positively impact students' lives or futures? So if you're here with us today, and even if you're off video, if you want to just drop in the chat any of your thoughts on one way you believe computing can be a positive impact on your students' lives or futures, or if you're watching this later on, just think about that for a moment. And then if you are here, and Nikki, if you can just check the chat to make
Yep,
sure
I've
if
got it
any.
up.
All right, great. And then also thinking about your own personal connection to computing. And I know Robert was saying earlier, we learned so much during the time period where we all had to, connect with computers more so than we ever have. So yeah, just think about those prompts as we get started, just to get us in that mindset of computing.
All
And
right,
again,
we're starting to get some responses here. All right, so more job options, and as an educator, using computing every day, that is absolutely true.
right? Yep, we are. I mean, we are attached to computers, aren't we? Right? And that's something that we think about technology, and we also think about computing. So for today, we're going to talk about computer science in particular as that critical driver of future career opportunities. And we want to think about that broad impact of computer science on careers in the arts, media, middle level skills and jobs. And we want to think about how we, with this presentation today, hopefully can empower you to guide your students in navigating that landscape of career opportunities. And we know that computer science is a field that transcends traditional boundaries and influences all sectors of the arts, from everything from the arts to advanced manufacturing. So what we have on the agenda today is to think about uh, how we understand that impact of cultural, social, and environmental influences on student success and opportunities. We want us to we want to talk about just computer science and tech as that critical driver, and that impact of computer science in all those areas of arts. And again, empower you to develop some skills that can help you guide your students in learning about just those career opportunities. And this integration is really important in our work. We know that as school counselors and those working with in education with students. So I'm going to go on to the next slide here. And again, before we get started, Nicole and I want to talk about, why we're here, why we're involved with C4C and NCWIT. We know that computing is a fundamental part of our daily lives, commerce, just about everything, every occupation in our modern economy. And it's essential that students are exposed to that field of computer science at the K-12 level. And it's important because it is foundational in transforming the way our students think about the world. So computer science not only teaches them about technology, But what I love most about it is it teaches students about how to think differently and how to solve problems. So with that, we at NCWIT, National Center for Women in Information Technology, NCWIT, is our organization where we have the opportunity to connect with all of you. And I love this visual here. You know, the idea you don't have is the voice you haven't heard yet. And we believe in, with our programming and our resources that you're going to learn more about, is that we know that this is important to speak to representing all students. That representation is something that we are all trying to achieve. And that's what NCWIT is about, is all fields, all computing related fields, all students. So again, think about what our role is with National Center for Women in Information Technology. It's about inclusive, being representing all students in the field of computer science. And C4C, Counselors for Computing, is one of the programs with NCWIT. So with that, we want to talk a little bit more about how does NCWIT work to achieve this? How do we work on making sure we're inclusive and we're representing all students? Well, we do it in a number of different ways. So we have a team of researchers working across the country to help us create evidence-based free resources and impactful programs like this one, C4C, and another program called Aspirations in Computing, which you're going to hear about in later on tonight. We also convene change leaders through our alliances, both in the industry and academia. And we know that through these alliances, programs and resources that we've created are used to actually change and bring to life some of these opportunities for our students. And our partners, our programs and our partners actually fuel it all. The companies, the organizations, educators like you drive this change through our passion and our advocacy work. So our program, C4C, Counselors for Computing, is one of the programs in the NCWIT K-12 Alliance. So I see some great comments in the chat. Thank you, Marilyn. I appreciate the work that you're doing. So with this, again, a little bit more about C4C and NCWIT. You know, we think about it, C4C, you know, why does this matter? Well, we know that if technology is for everyone, shouldn't everyone have a hand in creating and accessing that technology? So we know the future of tech depends on those diverse voices, because we know that when there's more diversity in the classroom at the table, more creative solutions to problems that we're facing do unfold. So C4C, we provide those resources and trainings to help you as counselors break down those barriers to create inclusive pathways for all students to discover and explore their potential in computing. We also know it's really hard to know where to start. Even for the most experienced counselors, whether you're in your first or second year or your 11th or 12th year or your 20th year, we know how hard that is. So at NCWIT, we can help you as counselors remove those barriers so students can choose to learn computing, consider pursuing technical career pathways, and believe their voices can be heard in the tech industry. So
Okay, so what is computer science? So in the chat, if you could, a student walks into your office and says, well, what is computer science? What would you say to them in your words? If you can drop a few thoughts in the chat as to how you would answer that question. That would be great. And I see Marilyn even wrote, she encourages students to take AP computer science principles in high school. And that's so important because the AP classes in computer science are very doable for students. And sometimes we think that AP is just for certain students. And, you know, computer science is a class, an AP class that a lot of students can handle with various backgrounds. So that's really good. So thinking about how you would answer that question, computer science is building computers, which is one piece of it. And I think sometimes people are not exactly sure how to answer that question, and that's okay if you are unsure. So we're going to move on to the next part and we'll kind of talk through that a little bit. So, computer science is kind of posing a problem in a way that a computer could solve it. So, when we think about things that we want to do when we get older, it's more the thought of what problems in our world do we want to solve? So, how can we use a computer to solve it? So, how can we use a computer to communicate, to design, to imagine? To create something that is a program that will do what we need it to do to give us the information that we want. A program that could share information, retrieve it, manipulate it, secure it. And when we talk about securing, cybersecurity is one of the fastest growing computer science programs out there, and there's such a need for it and so many jobs opening. So if you look at this picture here, that's actually an art historian who is using computer science and in that device right there to restore a painting and break it down and look at pieces of it and be able to restore it back to its original form. So to me, that's just such a neat and interesting thing that computer science can do.
Yeah. Nicole, just today I had one of those phishing emails and I'm like, okay, cybersecurity, this is really important. We need to stay on top of this to protect our data, right?
Yeah. So why is computer science important? There's a couple of reasons. It forms the backbone of, our modern technology and innovation. Everything is technology driven now, in our jobs, and it drives the future right now. There's so many fields that computer science plays a piece in the arts, in media, in creativity, and we're going to kind of showcase some of that tonight. And understanding computer science is almost like learning how to read. We take that for granted, but that's kind of where we are in our society. So even for non-technical roles, there's computer science interwoven into, so many aspects of our world. I did an activity this summer at a leadership event that we went to, and we talked about, what is a major piece of our society that would be affected if computers went down. And people were talking about banking, they were talking about street lights and traffic signals and, pharmacies and medication and people not getting medication and being able to function. So there's so many pieces that we sometimes forget about in our infrastructure, in our logistics, that are run, by computers.
Yeah, for sure. I think we take that for granted too. We take so much of this technology for granted.
All right, your favorite app. So in the chat, if you could type in what your favorite app is and why do you like it, and think about, how often do you use it? What's the purpose for that app? All right, we have, oh, here, now everyone's coming alive now. We have Scrabble Go, Libby. Oh, I don't know what that is.
I
Google, Wordle, Libby. I'm not familiar with Libby. I don't
It's a
know what that
library
is.
app that you can download books and read them. And
Oh, okay.
magazines and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. See? Target. Yes, I know. Digital coupon savings. Yes. And I think a lot of people, use GPS to get places. I don't even know sometimes how to get places anymore because I'm just so used to putting it in the map app and Waze. There's an accident. And I know people like Pinterest and, being able to, they have everything. I mean, my daughter has the elf on the shelf and I don't even know what to do with it half the time. So I just, there's an app for that.
there's an app to tell you where to put the elf, to
Where to
hide the
put the
elf.
elf, what to do with the elf,
That's
how
great.
to,
Yeah.
the elf can do everything. It can skate, it can order coffee, it can, who knows, things I would never think of. Instagram,
Yeah.
TikTok, Etsy. So lots of different ones. And I think when we think about them, we use them for entertainment, we use them for information, we use them for news, we use them for so many aspects of our life that we probably don't even think about.
Yeah. I think about apps that connect us with other people, such as the Scrabble Go or those social media apps, right? My chart, oh, the digital health. Zoom, of course. Yeah, we're connecting right now using these apps. Great. Okay. Well, next up, we have one that's really taken off recently in the past year, a few years, right? Nikki, moving on to the next one. I'm going to click on this next slide.
So what
So,
this is these are all different areas, and you can click through, that's fine.
yep.
These are all, I like to call this CS plus X, so computer science plus another sector. So if you look at the bottom left, that was computer science and agriculture. So that was using technology to look at crops and look at dirt and look at what the best optimal ways are to harvest. There was one with a brain scan on there, and it looked at, the brain, and oftentimes you can figure out what medications someone might need by doing a swab and looking at that. There was computer science plus art and technology and media. So there's computer science plus many different fields. If you think about fashion, I like to do, I'm not very cool when it comes to fashion, but I've recently discovered Stitch Fix. And, they give you some outfits and they start to find some trendy things that I probably wouldn't find in a store. But, computer science somehow figured out the algorithm that seems to work. And, it's like you put on the jeans and they fit and you wonder why, because not all jeans fit all body types. So, computer science and just the way that it can work in all these different pieces. Sometimes students especially think, oh, computers is just working on a computer or building a computer or, you know, being designing, help desk and software programs. But a lot of this is apps, and it is software that solves problems and does things in many, parts of our world and things like that. So there is something called the Media Hub where NCWIT has CS Plus, and you can click on a variety of little videos and little clips that show you, how computer science and dance can go together, how computer science and sports go together. And just, different things like where people have used computer science to build an app for the EpiPen, where if a diabetic, or I'm sorry, if someone who's having an allergic reaction needs an EpiPen, it could call 911, and there's so many things that that would really help with. So it's neat to be able to see. So if you have a student that says, I'm really interested in broadcasting, or I'm interested in, digital arts or different things, you can show them how computer science is intertwined with those different subjects.
Great. I dropped in the chat a link to go to that, our media hub with NCWIT. So for folks, if they want to explore that at some point, that's available for everyone to click on when they have a minute. Nicole, earlier on that Chat GPT was showing on the previous slide, and that's something that's obviously really taken off in the past, I don't know, year or two. And recently I had a prospective student who is interested in our graduate program reach out here in Vermont. And I asked her, I said, how did you hear about our program? And she said, Chat GPT, so it's like, it's a tool. It's a way to market. It's a way to get information and get resources quickly, right, at our fingertips. So thank you for speaking to all those pieces related to how, computer science is everywhere, technology is everywhere. Um, so yeah,
So if you
moving.
want to take a minute in the chat, I love to hear how other people compare computer science with other fields. So if you've ever talked to students about computer science in another field, if you could just drop a few words in the chat to share with us. It's just good to see where it comes up.
Yeah, yeah, we'd love to hear where people are speaking with their students about where computer science is coming up in the field.
things like sports. Computer science is used to analyze swings. And we did a program this summer where we went out to a place in Pittsburgh where it's called Diamond Kinetics, where they were able to analyze your swing with your bat and look at your speed. And all of that is computer science algorithms. Auto repair, yeah. Being able to get parts and look at different parts. Marine biology, that's a good one. Tracking animals. My daughter, we went to the zoo and she said, why does the hippo have like a clip in its ear? And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
oh, it's being tracked and we could find some information out about it.
Right. It's providing us information, knowledge. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what is this? So Jody's adding something, CS plus X, right? Okay. Some undergraduate degree programs with that CS plus X degree.
Oh,
That's
I love that.
wonderful. Thank you for
So
sharing.
someone talking to their students about this. I love it.
Hi,
All
Jody.
right.
Yeah, can you share us? Are you able to tell us a little bit more
Uh,
about?
sure. I'm actually assistant chair of computer science at Wilmington University. I was previously a high school
Yay,
computer science
Wilmington!
teacher. So I've had extensive experience guiding high school students to various segments within computer science, like you were saying, whether it's cybersecurity, graphic arts, whether it's now digital forensics and police, if you want to be a police officer and digital forensics. I just thought this was a great list that the University of Illinois has. They actually have programs branded CS plus X.
I love
there's a
that.
great list of,
Yes.
and then it shows all the courses within it. So this is something
amazing.
you could use to share with your students. They don't have to go to this school, but this could be an example. And it's all interdisciplinary right now, especially in healthcare.
I think this is amazing.
Neuroscience.
Yeah.
And a lot of gals are going that direction. So
Yeah, look at this. Let's see
So,
computer science
I
and
came
philosophy.
across it recently. It was like, wow, this is perfect.
Thank you. Because
So,
I
Thank you.
love how University of Illinois is actually branding it as the CS plus X degree programs. So there's
yeah,
a core, I'm sure, of computer science, but then that side interest of advertising or linguistics. Thank you so much for sharing that resource. I love that. Okay. Nicole, are we ready to move
Yeah.
on a little bit more?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So when we talked about CS plus X and the idea of instead of what do you want to be when you grow up, it's what problem do you want to solve and how do you want to make changes in society, and how can you use technology to do that? So if you've ever asked students those questions, maybe just put a yes in the chat because I'd love to see how it's changing. Anyone?
So can you just say that? So the question is, has anyone used that phrase with their students? What problems do you want to solve? That's your question. Yes, I love
Yes.
that. I love that because instead of asking, what do you want to be when you grow up? Or what do you want to major in? Kind of digging deeper, like what problems do you want to solve? What's your passion? Yeah, I really think it just gets to a deeper level of engagement to helping students identify some of their areas of interest when we pose
Even
it that
working with elementary students nowadays, that's such a big thing for them to think about. But when we're looking at the critical thinking skills and their leadership skills, it's all about how can you make a difference doing something that you want and kind of crafting a plan to make that happen. So it's interesting to see what they even come up with at a young age.
Yeah. So we're going to take a look. Now I'm going to move on to a video here. I might have to stop sharing and then move on to the next piece because if my audio, I want to make sure my
I
audio.
think maybe what we'll do for this, because sometimes the video doesn't come through as well as we would like it. So I think what I'm just going to do is describe it for you, and we can put it in the chat. So this video is definitely a worthwhile watch. It's called Gender Shades, and it's basically what it is. It's a PhD project by, her name is Joy, and I butcher her last name. It begins with a B, but basically,
Bulamwini, yes.
thank you for that. But basically, what she does is she takes different genders and uses different programs like Microsoft Gender Identity Program. And there's about 4 different ones to see kind of how they identify people of different skin tones. And what happens is they misgender a lot of people that have darker skin tones. And it's people that are, famous people, like the president, like Oprah, and people that are very important in society. And it just there's a lot of bias that goes into how these people are misgendered. And she goes ahead and writes an amazing poem about it. And just her research is wildly accurate. And so much has changed because of it. But it's definitely a good watch.
Yep. So I just dropped that YouTube link in the chat so you can bookmark it for later on. It's a really short clip, but absolutely one that's going to inspire you. When we think about bias, when we think about, when we have certain perceptions, and sort of, challenging ourselves in our thinking with our different biases.
And then it
Great.
just
So,
goes back to why we want a variety of people at the table. And as school counselors, that's where we come in because, white males are not the only ones that are going to drive technology. And sometimes, that's why in her study, we just need diversification. We need, everyone represented and having a seat.
yeah. Okay. So now, why school counselors? I first became involved with C4C and NCWIT, it's a long time ago, 10 years ago or so, when I was working with students developing sort of a STEAM academy, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And it's really important. And I kept, developing this academy, and then it was the physics teacher and the computer science teacher in the building that said, "Hey, Maureen, you need to look into a little bit more about this NCWIT is all about." And we know, because I was a school counselor, and I knew that I didn't have all of the training that I should have had to help advise students in computer science. I just didn't have it. I didn't have it in my graduate program. I wasn't staying current as I should have as a school counselor. So we know that, and I love this slide because, I've worked in different high schools. I know the work that school counselors do. School counselors are uniquely positioned to have an impact on so many different individuals, whether on the left side of the screen, you're thinking about all those students and families and teachers and the administrators and the networking with community members. And I even think about what Marilyn added with Road Trip Nation, those platforms, they're really part of our community. And then of course school boards and military. We partner with those folks, right? And then on the right-hand side, we are in that we do work with students individually and in classrooms, small groups. We deliver curriculum, and we also know that as school counselors, we're leaders. We are uniquely positioned to make changes and to remove barriers. And I know as school counselors, you all hear of what those barriers are and you understand them. And you work so hard to helping students overcome barriers and challenges that they're facing. So it was something that was discovered that through NCWIT that school counselors are those critical allies and we're connectors. We know how to connect people. And by informing others, those key stakeholders, and students are our number one stakeholders, we can help broaden that conversation and we can help our students think about and change those mindsets and behaviors to help our students understand the connections between school and work and the world of work, and help our students start planning for that post-secondary education, whatever that may look like throughout their life, not just during high school, not just during middle school, but beyond. So I am so grateful for the work of school counselors, because school counselors are leaders and they're critically and uniquely positioned to make some changes such as that. So with this, it's really important for us to know which career areas have that, what those growth areas are. So let's just take a minute and look at this slide. And when I see a graph such as this, I really need to think about and start absorbing it all. So looking at the top 10 occupational groups that are projected to grow the fastest, right? Well, no surprise, we see healthcare, right? Healthcare support is number one. Look at what's number two, right? Computer and mathematical. And then continuing on, just like we talked about with CS plus X, we see those other fields, occupational fields, that are still all connected with computer science. So thinking about that common theme of how all of these fast-growing career fields all require creative problem solving and working with technology. As we heard, I think it was Robert that added to the chat how auto repair help, computer science helps them with like fixing or auto repair. Or we heard about biology and you know nature and connecting with weather patterns of the life and physical and social sciences. So we just wanted to again think about those fast growing careers and think about that intersection of computer science. So STEAM, as I mentioned before, STEM or STEAM, again, are predicted to increase by nearly 800,000 occupations. The Bureau of Labor and Statistics projects that by 2031, more than half of those careers will be in computer and mathematical occupations. So students now having access to computer science and technology, that's what's important. It's going to help them learn and prepare them for the future. And it's not just about coding jobs, right? It's understanding how to solve problems and thinking about the impact of computer science can have in helping them solve those problems. So we kind of think about computer science per se, that we have actually sort of a problem in what's called computer science, and that we need to have that alignment at the K-12 level to help our students learn and grow in the field of computer science. So this chart shows how students graduating with a STEM degree is broken down in terms of 67% of all new jobs are in STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, or computing, whereas 11% of STEM bachelor's degrees are in computer science. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy here, and we need to think about this data, these numbers. Why are these graphs are pretty telling, but we need to look at this disconnect and think about what is happening here, where 11% of STEM bachelor's degrees are in computer science, whereas 67% of new jobs are in computing. So with this, we have some other job trends, and I know you know this, but what skills are prioritized by companies in today's job market? AI, right? Artificial intelligence. We use AI as an acronym so easily now, but what does that mean? It's artificial intelligence and big data numbers. We also think about it's important to think about lifelong learning, developing that curiosity, analytical thinking, right? Technology and literacy. And of course, it's important for our students to learn and understand how reading, writing, and math impacts all of those. So Nikki, I'm going to turn this over to you. Is there anything else that you want to add to these job trends?
I think we're gonna delve into it a little bit more, and I think that the most important thing is there are so many jobs in computer science that our students don't realize, and we're going to talk a little bit about the pathways that are not just, 4-year college and the different ways to get there.
Great. Okay.
All right, so looking here at the skills for workers that are really important, like we talked about before, the critical thinking, the analytical thinking, the problem solving, the, technological literacy, just being able to look at data, being able to think and using what's called computational thinking and being able to problem solve. You know, that the AI is up there. So if you look at all those skills, a lot of them are encompassed in the field of computer science. And there's such a big skill set that, is in this field. And students that train to be in this field will get all of these skills and be able to use them. So the skills like creative thinking and flexibility and resilience, if you think back to as a counselor, the ASCA mindsets and behaviors, this just kind of shows how they match. Looking at coping skills, that has to do with the resilience, the flexibility, the agility. Number 5, lifelong learning and curiosity. That's another one of our mindsets and behaviors, being able to set goals, career and social emotional, being dependable, paying attention to detail. That kind of correlates to our time management, our study skills, organization, and then the leadership and social influence. And that's a big one. That's an ASCA mindset and behavior, using leadership and teamwork to work effectively in diverse teams. So you can see how, as school counselors, these are things that we're aiming to teach students, and these are core skills that they need for success in, the 21st century. So it really does come together, and it showcases how we are a key piece to helping students move forward.
Yeah, I love these. I love these connections with ASCA mindsets and behaviors, because as school counselors, when we go into classrooms or we're working with small groups, we are connecting the standards with our lesson planning. And, we have to remind ourselves that we are developing that lifelong learning and that curiosity through this work of introducing computer science with our students.
Mhm. So this is interesting. So this study was done, and it took a look at public school, rural school, and private school, and what their thoughts are about college. And if you look at the students in public schools, fewer students think that a college degree is necessary than, before. Not so much of a change with private schools. 60% of those school counselors have not noticed a change in, students feeling that a 4-year college degree is necessary. But, in the public schools, there's been a pretty significant change. And I think that's because we have a lot of different programming options to showcase students, and, we're allowing them to think differently about how to get the most bang for their buck in terms of education and cost. And, there's different paths that could bring you out in a career with computer science, making good money without having to have a 4-year degree.
Yeah, I think recently with the pandemic, I think that's forced our students in a positive way to really think critically on how do they want to further their education. And I think as school counselors too, it's like, how do we continue to support our students in a variety of platforms? I think this is really important that we are looking at this research.
So, now that we start looking at different options, there's certification programs, and there's so many of them that are out there. And they have certifications in IT support, network systems, cybersecurity, data specialist, data analytics, things like that. And then if you look at the jobs and the money, the average salary for some of these jobs without a college degree, just getting a certification, the salaries are much more than we're starting out with, or much
Yeah.
more than our average. So there's so many different ways to learn, and also thinking about your technical schools. I know where I live, they have credential programs that they can leave with some of these skills to begin with. And I know the technical school programs are just exploding right now. And these 2-year programs at different community colleges, and we're going to talk about military pathways. There's just a lot of different ways.
Yeah. I think that credentialing and certification programs is really important. Again, it's providing access for all students, right? Okay.
So in New York, in 2023, the average open computing jobs, 20,000. And then these jobs had an average salary of 127. So it's not a bad salary. And there's so many open jobs. And then if you look at the people that are making up the workforce, we have African Americans, 8%, Hispanic and Latino, 8%, women, 27%, and then millennials and Gen Z. And we just definitely need more people of diverse backgrounds to come to the table. Because if you look at the percentage of all occupations, it's much more. So we definitely need you as school counselors to help students feel like they fit in classes like this. Because I think, sometimes students look at the makeup of the classes and feel like, well, maybe I don't fit. And how can we help them understand that they do fit and they do have ideas and they can make differences, and they have a seat at the table? And that's kind of our role and our challenge as school counselors. So this last one, this actually comes as a poster that you can download from NCWIT, and this really shows the pathways. So the military pathways, university pathways, and then community college. So it kind of shows you different jobs and that you can get, different education, and it really, shows you that there are different ways to get to the job that you're looking for, and they're not all, 4-year colleges. So this is a good one because I think students really look at it and think, okay, this could be something that matches the path of the amount of schooling that I want to put in, to get this type of salary.
And I know Jody has to leave, but I love what she added to the chat, that even that connection, picking up her son at indoor baseball, where they have a technology to measure that pitching and hitting and helping individuals become better athletes, right? So again, that making that connection with technology and computing, that's wonderful. All right, so here we go. We need to look at, this is an opportunity for us now to think about what's happening in our schools, what's happening at our university, what's happening in our workforce. So we know that very few students are taking AP High School Computer Science relative to all other AP tests. But what's even more troubling is that only 23% of the total students are female. So similar trends are found in computer science majors at the college level. So that diversity problem in computing is something that we want to really highlight here, and consider that, because even major tech companies are also struggling to have that creative, diverse workforce, because we know that if a team is diverse, there can be more creative solutions to resolve problems that are presented. So out of all the computing jobs in our entire economy, women only make up a quarter of that in the workforce. And these are the fastest growing, highest paying, most in demand jobs in America. So if that trend continues, only 1 out of 4 of those jobs will be filled by women. And the stats about Black and Hispanic students tell a very similar story as well. So again, back to why school counselors. Well, I want us all to think about the impact that we have on our students. And we know that each of our students think about and have feelings about different courses that they'd like to sign up for and what careers they might be considering in the future. So let's take a quick look at these factors that influence a girl's decision about pursuing something such as computer science, right? So, and it's, as we look at these numbers, think about also how I want to think about how I talk with students and what kind of questions I might ask them. So factors that influence a girl's decision, 28% of girls said it's my family and my friends are encouraging me to try coding. That's all it is. 27% report out that the students are wondering and thinking and having a perception of, are those CS jobs aligned with my passions, with my X? Will CS, computer science, help me help people? And then also 17%, it's my perception. Do I enjoy math and problem solving? What do I think about math and problem solving? Will I be good at it? Is there some self-esteem and self-awareness around this that we want to work on with our female students? And then exposure. Are CS classes available? Are there CS activities and groups nearby? Am I doing all I can as a school counselor to make sure I'm aware of opportunities available to all my students, but those in particular who may be underrepresented in a particular classroom? So this is why, again, school counselors are important, because we know we have access to that data. We know that we can pull up rosters. We know that we can connect with faculty and administrators. So back to, isn't this telling? Boys receive more encouragement than girls. 1.5 times more from teachers. Teachers are 1.5 times more likely to be told by their teachers that they would be good at computer science. Boys are told 1.5 times more. Boys are 1.7 times more likely to be told by their parents that they'd be good at CS. And then the media, 2 times as likely to see someone doing CS in the media. I think it's changing, but I think we still have work to do. So those outside influences and forces, we cannot highlight that more, that they really do make a difference. We know if she can see it, she can be it. So that messaging that our underrepresented students see and hear, and we know as counselors, I know that I need to be aware of my own implicit bias. What I say to a student matters. So just wanted to highlight some of these pieces again. We know you're already doing great work. Here are some ideas, and these are some things I've been involved with over my career at the high school level, of developing different clubs and supports and activities. So these are just some visuals and some examples: lunchtime coding clubs, career week, tech mentorship programs. And again, Nikki's adding some great resources in the chat, so feel free to click on some of those. And feel free to add to the chat. I'd love to hear from others in the room still. Are there any clubs or activities or CS events that have happened in the past, or that your school or district is thinking about doing? So feel free to just add those to the chat. We'd love to hear what's happening in your region. But we also know, I know this is past, but it's a great date to put on your calendar for next year. Hour of Code. What a great way to get some free resources to collaborate with those stakeholders, volunteers in your community, get some students to get involved, and to register for an Hour of Code event. Oh, I love some of these. Girls Who Code, great. And then thank you, Lene. I see a full ride program at Stony Brook. Look at these wonderful financial resources for students to get to further their education, develop their skills. So mark these as calendars, put them on your calendar for next year, and start the planning in terms of your curriculum that you're doing in your school. So again, Nikki added some resources to the chat. Anything else you want to speak to about those resources, Nikki?
Yeah, so the one that I just added is these are by NCWIT. I actually worked with our creators to make these. These are all lessons that come from various sources like Scratch or code.org, and it takes the lessons and makes them into slides. So you can literally put up a slide deck that takes students step by step through these activities. And these are good if you have like a parent night or a activity during, you know, CS for Ed week, things like that. And we can definitely share some more, but we're gonna share a few more. I know our time is kind of
Oh, yeah.
limited. The aspirations community and the aspirations toolkit is just something that helps you create an event, whether it be a summer workshop, a camp. It's kind of like a how-to guide on how to engage partners, what types of activities to do, and you don't need to be able to code to run an activity like this. Someone mentioned Black Girls Code. There's something called Tecnologic Chicas. And these are great resources to get people in and speak in an event like this. So I just kind of want to go through these quickly because we have just a couple more minutes left. But it just kind of shows you in this 1 day guide how to run a program. These things are important. Just visiting classrooms, partnering with your teachers. I know when I was in the middle school, I worked with my technology teacher to show some of the slides about how much money these type of jobs make and what the actual jobs are, because students don't always know the difference between the jobs. So helping them understand and then the pathways to get there. So there's lots of other, great activities around that.
That's great. I love the community of practice concept. I love that,
Mhm.
concept
And
that
then,
we're doing.
our ethical standards, going back to ASCA, our role is to be advocates and leaders and collaborators and agents of systemic change and being able to provide equitable educational outcomes. And you think about NCWIT and what that stands for, the idea of just helping underrepresented populations know that they can do careers like this and helping them figure out where their skills lie, how they can get where they want to be, and that they have the ability to learn, and just advocating for them to be able to have chances to do these things.
Yeah. So this is a time where we want you to pause and think about what's one actionable step you can take right now, thinking about in terms of what you can do as a change agent, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's after the break, the holidays, just what's one step that we want you to just pause and think about what will work in your school and community that you can move forward on. Here are some others that we just mentioned earlier, aspirations in computing. This is an opportunity for students for us to honor students who, just as the title describe, aspire to learn more and be connected. So when we hear about aspirations in computing and the aspirations program, we want to recognize those students who are historically marginalized, who are interested in pursuing career pathways and are already taking some steps toward their journey of improving and increasing their skill set in computing and computer science. So that's one program. It's a really supportive program. There's so much power that just cannot be understated. Our data shows that from high school to post-secondary, 90% of aspiration and computing participants, they continue and persist, which I love, in the computing world. So it's that connection, that support, that opportunity. It's that community of practice that we just really want our students to have. So today, the Aspirations program does offer a number of awards, including for educators and colleagues and impact. So check out the website. I think it looks like, I'm not sure if Nikki, if we added it to the chat. Yeah, but
Yes, I have it in
great,
there,
good.
and I'll put one for the award too.
Yeah, thank you. So again, this is an opportunity where you can go ahead and register, get involved, connect your students so they can be part of the supportive community. We want students to start becoming aware at the middle school and high school level where they can join that AIC community. Okay. So make sure we register. By attending today, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure at the beginning of our session we had a sign-up sheet. So make sure you sign up for this webinar. If you're here today or if you're watching it, make sure you access that so you can have access to these resources that we have available to you. These resources are going to make your life and job easier. So these are some visuals of what those resources are. We have an NCWIT Counselors for Computing resource booklet. And I'm going to copy that. And so you can actually get an electronic version. Also,
I'll get that in.
Get that up, got that. So again, we want to help you be that change agent and to spread the good word and get your students involved and to consider the field of computing. So we want to keep this conversation going. If you could grab your smartphone or your phones, which are probably maybe sitting right near you, use that QR code and just take a few minutes to help us, provide us feedback so we can continue to help you in your work. We want to continue to refine our content and just to make sure we're supporting you in the work that you're doing. Okay, and then I have someone, I'm adding to the chat again. We have a opportunity for, if you just joined a little bit late, I'm going to click on that link again just to make sure that you sign in. And I'm going to add that in just a minute. Otherwise, we are going to turn it back over to Robert and have you add any final closing words of wisdom for us.
Why, thank you. Yeah, and I'll send you the attendance list tomorrow, which we'll get from Zoom. So
Okay.
you'll have who is here. This was wonderful. I was thinking about this today. I've been spending some time in a rehab / nursing home, and I'm watching the people who work there and how they work with the patients / residents there, and how not only do they work with them, which is amazing, but how they track their work. And they have these little iPads on the wall outside of the shower room, outside all of the residence rooms, and every time they interact with the resident, they log something.
Yeah.
Like they help somebody use the bathroom, or they help somebody have a meal or get ready for the day, and they're logging it, and they have like a little rating thing. Did it independently, did it with help, did it with two people, and I was thinking about the people who are logging all that information are, you know, they're not college graduates, they're people who work there. But I was thinking about who designed this system,
I
and
know.
who designed the system, and what is the administrator of the nursing home doing with the information, and how are they tracking? Like I was talking to the dietitian person, and she said that they track every meal. So if they put a meal out, they track what percentage of the meal did the person eat, and it's just an amazing amount of information that probably didn't have 2, 3, 4 years ago to help the people that work there. So that was my recent experience with this.
Yeah.
I mean, I go back a long way. I was a middle school counselor for 25 years, but I started my tech career as a key punch operator in the Air Force. So that's punching holes in cards. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're talking about big data. You're talking about data. You're helping, that example is a wonderful example of just helping solve some problems and connecting and helping support others in the field. Thank you all. Thank you so much for having us. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. And please reach out if you have questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a great holiday season. We got some upcoming webinars. We got graduation requirements webinar in January. We got our virtual comp camps. There's a series that starts in January. And thank you again, Nikki and Maureen. And have a good evening. And I'll get all this material to everyone on the webinar and people who register tomorrow. Terrific. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank
you
you so
too.
much.
You got to help her.
I gotta help her. Aw. I love that.